This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon only gameplays, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. Purphoros Bronze Blooded versus Meren of Clan Toth. Now, we don't have any rocks for acceleration. We do have a Wheel of Fortune, which may well help our opponent if they dump their hand into the bin. Yeah, I think I just have to get rid of that. We really want rocks in the early game. Well, we've got rocks there. We don't have the lands to play them, though. Let's keep that. We'll get rid of the Scuttling Doom Engine. And then it's just fingers crossed that we actually get into a land on our second turn. Well, okay, that's a pretty good land, so let's go for that. We can go into Thought Vessel, and that takes us into Goblin Engineer as well. Now, what do we want to grab with the Goblin Engineer is the question. I think this brings back something with CMC 3 or less. So let's just go Junk Diver on that, and then we can pull stuff out of the bin if we need to. Now a Lightning Greaves from our opponent, still hoping for a land off the top. Oh, and that's just really lucky we get into another land, so in that case, I think we just go Purphoros. Because we can start going for sneak attacks next turn. And then we'll swing in with our Hasty Goblin and pass the turn. Yeah, the good thing about our commander is that it kills things at the end of the turn, which triggers things like Hoarding Dragon. Oftentimes you'd need a sack outlet to make use of Hoarding Dragon, but we can actually use this as a tutor effect for an artifact. Now our opponent goes for a tutor of their own in the Fierce Empath. Okay, and there's a Grave Titan. We can... I don't think Drakuseth can deal with Grave Titan. It is 4 damage to any target. And then 3 damage of each up to 2 other targets. So yeah, that doesn't work, does it? Let's go... Yeah, we'll just go into Gilded Lotus here. I don't trust that we'll draw a land off of Faithless Looting. I think our luck might have run out with regards to drawing lands off the top this game. So let's activate Purphoros after getting down the Gilded Lotus. We'll throw out a Hoarding Dragon. Say yes to that. And here, I am going to go for the thing I forget the name of. Oh, we could just go Blightsteel, couldn't we? Is our opponent anywhere near? They are not anywhere near. They're Grave Titan. Could just go Blightsteel, but I think I want to go for this Sandstone Oracle. Yeah, let's go for that instead. Because I don't think we'd get through with Blightsteel just yet. Then we swing in with Hoarding Dragon. Deal 4 damage to our opponent. Definitely going to use the Hoarding Dragon's ability. We get back the Sandstone Oracle, which will help us to refill our hand. And it will get 4 points of flying damage onto our opponent as well. And... okay, I was thinking our opponent was going to go in for Meren there. Had we have gotten down the Blightsteel, they certainly would have done to get points of toughness onto the field and not go out to infect immediately. But instead, now going for Jared's Orders. They'll put 1 creature in the bin and 1 into their hand, so they may be setting up a combo here. Alright, and there's a Spore Frog. I guess that's going into the hand. And then just leaving back the Fierce Empath, we get into a land, that's good. Let's throw that down so we draw more cards. And we'll just pay into the Ancient Tomb. Let's drop the Sandstone Oracle with Purphoros. And that will draw us into 4 cards, because our opponent has 6 cards in hand. Now we can go Scuttling Doom Engine as well. So yeah, I think we just go... certainly for the Scuttling Doom Engine, we could just cast that, actually. Yeah, let's just cast that. we don't want to see that leave play. Our opponent might have trouble blocking that thing. And then we'll swing in with everything apart from the Goblin Engineer. Our opponent can't block the Scuttling Doom Engine. And that is, when it dies, it deals 6 damage to a target opponent or planeswalker. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So our opponent needs to get their Meren or Grave Titan into play here, really. But we've got an answer for their Grave Titan. They get out the Spore Frog immediately. Now, if they're going for their Meren here, they can Spore Frog, but they're going to have trouble keeping their Meren in play. And that's the good thing about Purphoros. You don't have to go for the sneak attack activation. You can just make use of his haste, as we just did here. Okay, Woodland Bellower comes down. That usually goes for a Reclamation Sage whenever I use it. Do they go for the Doom Engine or the Gilded Lotus? Okay, they go for E-Witness instead. Grabbing back the Reanimate. Okay, there's a Blasphemous Act. That might come in handy for us. Let's just throw out this Mountain. And then we've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go for Faithless Looting and see if we can get into anything that would worry our opponent. Alright, Extra Planar Lens is a lot of mana. We can exile the Woodland Bellower as well. So let's get rid of a land and the Mind Stone. Then we'll throw out Extra Planar Lens. And that can get rid of that tap land, making our mountains tap for 2. And then we'll go in for a Sneak Attack Duplicant. And we'll get rid of that Woodland Bellower. Really don't want my opponent making use of Reanimate on that. That gives us a 6/5. Now I dare say they go for Spore Frog here. So let's just swing in. Alright, and there goes the Spore Frog. Now they're not going to have any experience counters. So their commander won't do a whole lot for them just yet. Problem is we've got to get rid of that Lightning Greaves. We can go for Goblin Engineer, sack an artifact, return 1 with CMC 3 or less. We could just go for a Junk Diver there. And use that to grab back the Sandstone Oracle maybe. Yeah, we'll just do any of that during our opponent's turn. We could even grab back the Duplicant. But our opponent is down to 9 life here, so we don't necessarily have to worry about our opponent doing stuff with Grave Titans and Merens and all that. We just have to hope that we can deal with Spore Frog. That could really drag the game out for way too long for our liking. And there's Meren. Can they kill anything off to give themselves... I think they get it back into their hand anyway at the end of the turn, don't they? Target creature, if that card's CMC is less than or equal to the number of XP counters you have, return it to the battlefield, otherwise to the hand. Alright, they're just going in for Reanimate onto Spore Frog. So that will give them the experience counter they need to reoccur it every turn. This assumes that they can keep Meren in play though, which is going to be made easier by the fact that they now have a Lightning Greaves to play around with. Yeah, good old Meren and Spore Frog is going to make things difficult. Although it's combat damage, isn't it? And this thing is, when it dies, it deals 6 damage to a target opponent or planeswalker, so we could actually... Yeah, we could make use of that, because it's not combat damage when it dies. We'll just take the hit from the Fierce Empath here. Don't want any nasty tricks to occur from my opponent. Alright, so let's activate Goblin Engineer. We will grab ourselves the Junk Diver, sacrifice the Doom Engine. That will die and deal 6 damage to our opponent. We'll get the Junk Diver back into play. And then Drakuseth can deal damage to anything, can't it? Yes, so we can just go for Drakuseth here. And it won't be sacrificed because the end of turn has already occurred. I'm just seeing now that we're up against a friend of the channel as well, B.1985. Although they appear to have gone AFK here now. I don't want to see what we're going to throw in with Purphoros apparently. Alright, well, I'm assuming my opponent just isn't coming back here. They've been a few minutes now. All I was going to do there is Purphoros in the Drakuseth, and when that comes in, whenever Drakuseth play attacks, it deals 4 damage. Oh, it's when it attacks, not when it enters. Well, anyway, we would have had chance to attack with it during our turn anyway, because, like I said, the end step has already occurred, so that won't be sacrificed. And when it does attack, it will deal 4 damage to any target, and then 3 damage of each of up to 2 other targets. So we just do the 4 points of damage to our opponent. That is not combat damage, which the Spore Frog stops. So yeah, managing to sneak a win with sneak attack over Meren, which is no mean feat, especially when they set up the Spore Frog combination. That is a pretty obnoxious combo. I can't remember if I took Spore Frog out of my Meren deck. I don't know. I can't remember. I need to revisit Meren anyway. But we'll just assume that I have won this one. Hopefully you all enjoyed this new Purphoros deck. It can do some very, very powerful stuff, as we saw here today. So don't forget to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you like the video. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.